wildfire concerns across the Front Range.
Hopefully the wind will die down and they'll be able to get it under control, but it's always better to be safe than sorry.
A fire sparks this morning in Boulder County as strong winds move through Colorado.
And these strong winds are why we are under a Denver 7 Weather Action Day. I'm tracking the latest conditions and all the fire weather watches and warnings in effect.
And more wildfire concerns for this summer, with an event that will bring tens of thousands of people to a national forest.
We keep as minimum impact to the environment as we possibly can.
Plus, Ukraine's president pleads for more sanctions against Russia. The message he's sending to the UN as outrage grows over claims of Russian war crimes. We're following breaking news at 11. A major backlog at the Aurora Police Department led to hundreds of serious criminal cases stuck in the system and not being investigated for months. Thanks so much for joining us for Denver 7 News at 11. I'm Jason Grenauer. All this coming from records obtained by Denver 7 Investigates. Those records from an independent auditing agency show more than 2,500 reports waiting to be processed by Aurora's records unit. Those cases involving murders, carjackings, even child sex crimes. Now, this is a developing story. We have a full breakdown that was just posted on thedenverchannel.com. Our Jennifer Kovaleski is conducting interviews and gathering reaction in Aurora right now. We'll have much more on this throughout the day, both on air and online. Now, the other big story that we're following today, so Denver 7 Weather Action Day. Hurricane force winds are moving through some parts of Colorado. This map shows much of the state under those high wind and red flag warnings. Now you can see the CDOT camera here shaking, almost falling over. This is out near I-70 near the Kansas border. Now the red flag warnings mean there's a chance of wildfires, and one did spark in Boulder County earlier this morning. It started a few miles northwest of Boulder. Now, the wind is also causing problems in the high country. On the left, you're looking live from Winter Park, where that resort saw gusts of 100 miles per hour. Loveland Ski Area also closed because of the winds. Then on the right, video from Steamboat Springs, the wind knocked down power lines in one neighborhood there. Now, we have team coverage this morning. We'll check in with Denver 7's Christian Lopez for an update on that fire in Boulder County. But first, we want to get a check of current conditions with Katie LaSalle. And Katie, these strong winds, they're going to stick around with us all day long.
Yes, Jason, we have a lot of advisories in place until at least 9 p.m. and last recorded wind gusts extremely strong near Fort Collins at 44 miles per hour, up over Keensburg in the upper 30s in terms of those wind gusts nearing 75 miles per hour up into the foothills and across the plains. A little bit of silver lining here with this storm system. There's more moisture, so fire danger not as elevated, let's say, than as we saw the day of the Marshall fire. You can see some rain showers moving here over the Denver metro area out to Watkins and Bennett at this hour. We do have these high wind warnings, all areas there shaded across eastern Colorado, really blanketing the eastern half of the state into the foothills as well until 9 p.m. Fire weather warnings, high wind warnings, and fire weather watches for tonight. Also some snow into the high country. We're picking up around 3 to 6 inches over higher terrain with winter weather advisories in place tonight. I'll take you through the rest of the forecast with these winds and then also when it's going to calm down, still to come.
All right, Katie, thank you. Now let's get back to that small wildfire that sparked in Boulder County this morning. This happened in the Carriage Hills area, which is northwest of Boulder. Denver 7's Christian Lopez has been in Boulder County all morning. And Christian, we just got an update, some new information from firefighters.
Yeah, we did. Jason, officials said that there were around 40 emergency responders responding to this fire, and they were able to quickly get a handle on it. They contained it in just about an hour and a half. And take a look at this photo that was shared by the Boulder County Sheriff's Office. It shows you just what that fire looked like this morning. They did notify about 200 people, and they let them know that it was a pre-evacuation warning so they could be ready. So it was definitely a very scary morning for residents who live in this area. One woman that we talked to, Sarah Barnes, she got one of those pre-evacuation orders and she was packed up with her pets and ready to go. And she was also calling around to her neighbors to make sure they were safe as well.
We have a very close-knit neighborhood, and because wildland fire is always a possibility where we live, we keep track of each other, make sure everybody's safe. Everybody has a plan. I have a to-go box in the back with important documents and all that, so everybody's pretty prepared.
And we also just learned what the cause of the fire was. It was a downed power line, but thankfully no structures were destroyed or damaged. Live in Boulder this morning, I'm Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
Christian, thank you. Glad they got a handle on that one quickly. Now, we have a cause on that fire, as you just heard from Christian, but investigators are still trying to figure out the cause of several other major wildfires, including two of the largest in state history. Forest officials tell us the cause of the Cameron Peak and East Troublesome fires in 2020 are still under investigation. And Boulder County officials are also looking into the cause of the Marshall fire, but that will take several more months. The Louisville City Council wants to make it easier for people to rebuild after the Marshall fire. At a meeting tonight, the city will consider letting people use 2018 energy codes instead of the new ones created in 2021. People say those newer codes, which were adopted just a month before the Marshall fire, would make it too expensive to rebuild there. Now, yesterday, we went 360 on the fire season in Colorado and why Coloradans need to be prepared year-round. You can find that story right now up on thedenverchannel.com. Well, tens of thousands of people are expected to move into the Arapahoe National Forest this summer. It's for what's called the Rainbow Family Gathering's 50th anniversary. As Denver 7's Veronica Acosta reports, that event also creating wildfire concerns.
The Rainbow Family Gathering started in Colorado dozens of years ago, and this year it'll reportedly be back. Attendees telling us close to 80,000 people could be coming to one of Colorado's forest lands. Listen to what one attendee told us this event is all about.
And we call ourselves a family, though we're not related by blood. We're related by our common goal and our common interest in prayer for world peace, because that is what the Rainbow Gathering is entirely centered around.
Perishow has been Rainbow Family Gatherings for 12 years now. He, along with thousands of others, they typically gather for an entire week. This year, that gathering is going to be between July 1st and July 7th. They say they haven't chosen the forest land they plan to gather in just yet, but have chosen our state. Despite being an event focused on, quote, praying for world peace, these gatherings have been controversial in the past. Coloradans who've gotten word about the gathering being in our state say they worry about wildfire danger, even cleanliness. But Perishow says these are concerns that are currently being worked out. We do a lot of liaison work with the National Forest Service, both with the law enforcement end and with the natural resource end, to make sure that we're being careful of sensitive environments in the area that we're going to be in, whether that be wildlife, plant life, or a fragile water source. So we reached out to the U.S. Forest Service. They've heard about the gathering potentially being in Grand County and said in part, quote, this is not a permitted or sanctioned event. The Rainbow family has consistently refused to comply with the permit process during national gatherings. We want to assure the community that we are working with our partners and cooperators to prepare for the possibility of a large extended gathering in Colorado. We also reached out to Grand County officials and state officials. Both told us they've also heard about the possibility of the gathering being in our state. They said they'll ramp up coordination with other agencies once we get closer to that potential gathering, which again is sometime in July. In Denver, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
In new developments on the war in Ukraine this morning, the Kremlin says accusations of President Vladimir Putin being a war criminal are, quote, unacceptable and disgraceful. President Biden made those claims yesterday following reports of a mass grave found in a city near Kyiv this weekend. Meanwhile, Ukraine's president delivered an emotionally charged address to the UN Security Council today. He visited the scene of that mass grave yesterday. Alex Prochet reports on the message he's sending to world leaders.
I am addressing you on behalf of the people who honor the memory of the deceased.
This morning, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky addressing the UN Security Council.
The massacre in our city of Bucha is only one, unfortunately, only one of many examples of what the occupiers have been doing on our land.
Russia also attending the meeting. It comes a day after Zelensky says he witnessed some of the atrocities of this war firsthand in the town of Bucha, just northwest of Kyiv. The bodies of civilians now being discovered reportedly executed in the streets. This victim with a grocery bag just feet from where they fell. Authorities saying more than 300 victims have been recovered so far. Some bodies were found in mass graves. ABC's James Longman is there.
I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bodies in this tiny room in this basement where Ukrainians say people have been tortured.
Russia has called these images fake and says claims of war crimes could hamper peace talks.
The reports are more than credible. The evidence is there for the world to see.
President Biden is vowing to impose more sanctions against Russia, suggesting Vladimir Putin should be tried for war crimes.
He is a war criminal. This guy is brutal. And what's happening in Bucha is outrageous, and everyone's seen it.
Ukrainian forces have taken back northern parts of the country, but the U.S. Department of Defense warns Russia could send dozens of 800 to 1,000 battalion tactical groups into the eastern Donbass once those units recover from the fighting in the north.
And there are still so many civilians caught in the middle of this fighting. Ukraine's prime minister this morning says that 7 humanitarian corridors will open from the city of Zaporozhye to Mariupol. Alex Berchet, ABC News, Washington. Quick check of sports now. The Nuggets will try to stay in 5th place in the Western Conference when they host the San Antonio Spurs tonight. There's just 3 games left before the playoffs, and all 3 are out at Ball Arena. The Nuggets also play Memphis on Thursday and close out the regular season Sunday night against the Lakers. Now, if the playoffs started today, the Nuggets would play the 4-seed Dallas Mavericks. The Avs are also in action tonight. They start at a 3-game road trip in Pittsburgh before heading up north to Canada to play the Jets and the Oilers. Puck drop from Pittsburgh is at 5. A Colorado family wants to make sure kids of all abilities have a chance to have fun on a playground. Still ahead, you can help their dream come true.